All right, my name is Kara Gooch, and I'm going to start with one thing that is a fact about me, one thing that has surprised me lately. This will be either a question or a statement throughout the week. You will find me come back to you in celebration of Apprenticeship Week. And I will share one thing about myself every day. I will also share one thing that is either a funny statement, something that shocked me, or a question that shocked me. Because this week, I want to focus in on asking better questions. And I had the opportunity to recently share this with a group of apprentices in the UK, virtually, of course. And we had a couple of other countries be represented as well, the United States and Canada. And in doing so, it gave us the opportunity to learn the gaps that we're seeing within the apprenticeship market, but also gave us the opportunity to make sure that we're serving them best. And we found out that it's a structural issue that we're dealing with. It's not the fact that apprentices lack the desire to grow, but it's the fact that the structures around them, the programs around them, were not built to not only serve them to the best of their learning abilities, but some of them weren't built with the structures on how to introduce them to not only be owners of their own careers, owners of their apprenticeship journeys and beyond, but also owners of their own thoughts. So, when we flip this concept on its head and say, how do we teach them how to ask better questions, how to present themselves with confidence, and still get what we need? That is where I come in. That is where myself and my partners come in. But since I'm standing here alone before you, here's how I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you understand why asking questions matter and why asking better questions will always matter. So let's get into it. So when we're asking better questions, what do we tend to do? We tend to omit ourselves from understanding that questions give us a better understanding of how to connect, how to inquire, and eventually how to lead. By being a professional that is intentional about asking questions and curiosity, you then present yourself as a more interesting person. So, when we walk into any space that might be new, when we walk into an interview, when we walk into a new relationship, you're getting to know somebody for the first time, you may come in with a few hesitations. And one of those hesitations could be, I'm not seeing this with fresh eyes. I'm not seeing this from the listener's perspective. I'm not seeing this from a space that will help me to truly connect with this person. Ergo, that means that we might be assuming things. We might be assuming that the person in front of us, the listener, they may have all of the answers. And so, why does my question add to their experience? Why does it make them have value or hold value in what I'm going to add? Maybe, just maybe, I'm rushing to judgment. Maybe it's that confidence that has been lowered in the background that might be speaking more, that might be speaking on behalf of myself, on behalf of the experiences that I want to achieve. And am I really missing something? Within this new experience, have I learned that the way that I approach it could be putting me on the outside, could be keeping me exclusive to what is supposed to be inclusive, keeping me outside of the circle when really this is a department that I touch every day. So, what am I missing? What angle am I not seeking? What angle am I not seeing from? What point of view am I omitting? And last, it helps us to understand that everything that we do, everything that we touch, every question that we ask, it helps us to assess why something matters to us. So, why does it matter to you now that you're listening to me here on either YouTube or Facebook? And if you're looking at the replay, type in the comments for me, replay. And I want to know where you're tuning in from so that I can help you this week, help you beyond this week as we assess and dissect asking better questions, but also giving us the opportunity to connect a bit deeper. So, I want to start off with this quote, right? This quote from the amazing Babe Ruth. He may be second to the amazing Jackie Robinson, but he may not, because there are some fans out there that hold Babe in a great deal of regard. But for those of you that are millennials, my good friends, that know of the Hillary Duff Cinderella story, you know this quote well, and you've heard it countless times. Never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. And for those of us that feel that our confidence is wavering in the way in which we present questions, in the way in which we ask questions, in the way in which we connect, we inquire, or we lead in new rooms, what can striking out look like to you? And what can it feel like? It might feel like a loss of trust, a loss of confidence. And in the worst case scenario, it may feel like a loss of opportunity. But can I challenge you in this way? When you feel these losses, when you feel this tension, sometimes in our human response, we feel like we need to fill the space. We either ask more questions, we either silence ourselves and go into this cocoon of protection. Because the way that our brains are set up, they're set up and wired to protect us from any threat possible. This may be a social threat. This may be a physical threat. This may be a threat against what we said before, that loss of trust, that loss of confidence, or even that loss of opportunity. But as your brain is wired to protect you from such threats, how will you work against it? And how will you challenge and build evidences that allow you the opportunity to say, one, I'm going to ask more questions, but I'm also going to be better in that question presentation. And two, how am I going to challenge this thing that is presenting itself as a challenge and say no more? So striking out sometimes can look like that loss of trust. But if we were to reposition this, we may see this as an opportunity to seek to connect. If you feel this loss of confidence, this may be an opportunity to seek to inquire. And last, when you feel that sense of loss of opportunity, this may be your season to seek to lead. We understand that when we do a connection of all three, connect, inquire, lead, it presents you as a better and stronger apprentice. Why? Because you're asking better questions opposed to more questions that may lead to a dead end or even a non-response. So as you look at this replay and as you include what we're learning today and why we presented ourselves to understand why asking better questions matters, and you understand the connection between seeking to connect, seeking to inquire, and seeking to lead, opposed to I'm going to lose trust, I'm going to lose confidence, I'm going to lose opportunity. By flipping that and understanding that these are simply opportunities for something better, for something different in the way in which we format and ask better questions, we then lead ourselves to understand that this is a personal posture. So, why are we asking better questions and why does it matter to ask better questions? because employers notice. When you present yourself during an interview for something new, what is the first thing that they ask after their tailored questions are concluded? Do you have questions for me? What's the first thing that you go to when you're in a new relationship? Either a romantic relationship or professional relationship, or even an acquaintancy. What's the first thing that happens? You ask questions. Either find out where somebody got those fly shoes or where someone got a really nice jacket. Because for me, that's my point of connection, right? I'm not a fashionista. However, I pride myself on the opportunities that I do have to get new tennis shoes. I will get tennis shoes that are conversation starters because I want somebody to approach me. I want somebody to find more about me. I want somebody to feel comfortable enough to break down that first barrier of entry and say, I like this about you. And then I present back with a question in response. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. How's your day going? And it becomes natural. It becomes an opportunity, as we said before, to connect, right? And it also gives me, it's like trifold here. It gives me that opportunity to inquire because I then am invited into what they're doing in their day, what they're doing in their feelings. And then I'm last able to connect in the way in which I can lead our conversation because based on your responses, that then leads to the next question. So why do questions matter? Why do better questions matter? They present you as confident by way of inquiry. They present you as trustworthy by way of seeking connection. They present you as one that seeks out opportunities of leadership. And so I want us to reframe the way in which we present and ask the questions that we ask because we want to look at them through these lenses. How do I connect? How do I inquire? How do I lead in every room that I enter? And for me, as someone that presents myself as a Christ follower, I present the way in which I read scripture from the same lens. Sure, I may have read it a couple of times. I may have read it hundreds of times. But by seeking out how it connects to what I'm currently doing in my life, how it connects to what questions can I ask and can I wrestle with in scripture to help me get to the next step? And also, how do I apply what I'm being taught, what I'm reading, what I'm wrestling with, what I'm engaging with to make me a better leader? So when you look through those three lenses, they may be faith based, they may be focused based, focused on the career that is before us. It presents you as a not only a stronger apprentice, but also a stronger leader, a stronger connector, a stronger friend, a stronger engager in everything that you're doing. Why? Because you changed perspective. Because your perspective makes you inviting, makes you intriguing, and makes you less likely to shut down your leader and your listener. So I want to leave you with this. I know that this was short, and I know that this was a great introduction to what we're going to be walking through the rest of this week. But to give you a preview of what we're going to walk through tomorrow is after we sit and assess from the shoes of the listener. How do we direct? How do we put in effort? How do we structure the questions that we're presenting to those before us? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to come back to the solo set. So, in connection to National Apprenticeship Week here in the States. I want to invite you to join me the rest of this week. This is my gift. This is my service to you, the apprentice, the young professional that is getting into the workplace for the first time. We see this time and time again that this time of year, which is April, May, June, we see high school seniors, we see undergraduate seniors going through their journey and going into the next season, going into the next step. However, a lot of them are paused in their progress because they don't know how to ask, structure, or even be a better listener when they're receiving the responses to the questions that they're forming and presenting. So that's what we're going to do here this week. We're going to get intentional. We're going to get intentional with the questions that we're asking. We're going to get intentional with the lessons that we're learning. We're going to get intentional in the way in which we not only present the questions that we have, but also give us an opportunity to ask questions of each other. Find best practices so that we can move forward in our careers together. So I've only presented one fact about myself so far. And one thing that I am going to present as the one thing that is that was shocking this week. So the one fact that I want to share about myself today is that I was a national leader at the organization that you all may have heard of or have in some way engaged with, Accenture. And I was a national leader there. So I give you this information from lived experience, but I also give you this information from battle testing it on this side of the Atlantic and the other. I've been able to present this information to apprentices within the UK as well. So I hope that that shares a bit of credibility. But the last interesting thing, an interesting statement that I heard that I want to share with you today is someone said in response to me challenging a statement, they said a lot of students hate this teacher. So wow, it's such a strong word for you to say hate. And their response, so is love, and you use it all the time. And to think this came from a 13-year-old, my 13-year-old. So, as we present from a shocking space or a shocking statement as our closing, I want to invite you to come back to join me the rest of this week as we learn more about asking questions. Tomorrow, we'll be asking the question of how to structure better questions, how to lead our listener to giving us responses that help us better receive the information, and also how to put in better effort if your efforts are easy or if your efforts are thoughtful. We'll go through that tomorrow, and I hope to see you there. Talk to you soon. Bye.